Let's dive into two teams that lost this weekend in the Eagles and the 49ers. And obviously a big point of conversation with those two games was the quarterbacks, and they did not play very well, right? Let's start with the 49ers. Brock Purdy's become a very polarizing quarterback. Is he really good? Is he average? Is he a product of the talent? And he struggled. Bottom line, relative to his other games in the regular season, he sucked. He was not good. He could barely hold on to the ball in the rain. It was not good. Balls were slipping out of his hand. He fumbled the ball, slipped out of his hand. He was missing plays until the last drive, which he did put them in position to win the game, and the kicker missed it. He was bad. He was. It's his worst game as a pro. I did think Kyle Shanahan was not good, though. And I think one problem with Kyle Shanahan is his offense is awesome. When the run game is working, his offense is unstoppable because everything in the passing game is based off the run game. So you have no clue what's coming. He hits you with these boot actions, these play fakes, and guys are moving left and right when you're moving right, the ball's left. You're moving left, the ball's right. When a situation where they couldn't run the ball, and Cleveland deserves a ton of credit, their defense is elite. By the time you're listening to this, I'm sure you've seen the stats. No team has allowed less yards through the first 6 games since like 1971. The defense not only they're great tacklers, their pass rush is awesome, their DBs can cover. They are an elite defense. That being said, like Kyle Shanahan kept running these play action passes when the run game wasn't working, and clearly Jim Schwartz had taught the guys don't bite, and they weren't biting, and they were constantly just getting into Purdy's face. And then on the final drive of the game, they kind of just went normal football, spread it out, get in the shotgun, 4 or 5 wide. Even with Debo and McCaffrey out, you still can roll out Ayuk, Kittle, Jennings. You got other players. You can still spread the field out, but that's not Kyle's deal. He hates really that. That's not part of his offense unless he's forced into it, and it worked. And I thought Kyle, like Purdy's going to take a lot of shit, and rightfully so, was not good. His coach did not help him out. His coach did not help him out at all. Same thing with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, awful. Like that's as bad of a game as you're going to see him play. Here's the problem. And part of the reason I did not bet the Jets, and I didn't even pick them to beat the Eagles in my bold play of the week, because I felt the Jets are good from playing from ahead or even a tight game when they know you have to pass because they have unlimited pass rushers and they can tee off. Well, I was like, they're playing the Eagles. The Eagles are running it down people's throats. Eagles are going to run it 45 times on them. Eagles had a lead. I look up, it's 14-3. I'm like, just run DeAndre Swift till the wheels fall off and, beat him into submission. And then, I was glued to that game, pass after pass after pass. And I looked up, how many carries did DeAndre Swift get? 10. How many passes did Jalen Hurts get? Almost 50. What the fuck were they doing? It honestly made no sense. Like, I guess I get Kyle. That's not really our offensive playbook. Like, I'm sorry. You have to have it. Shotgun, spread it out. The Eagles, just call some run plays. Why are you passing it against a team that you have, when you're playing Zach Wilson, like a commanding lead is 14-3. That's 14-9. You should feel good about your advantage. You're not playing Mahomes, Tyreek, and Kelsey here. Run it down their throat. Yet it felt like every single play, drop back. And then the moment they hit A.J. Brown down the sideline, I'm like, they're not going to stop passing it. And ultimately what did them in? A pick, which cost them the game. Now, we can nitpick. I didn't quite understand. I saw Sirianni today would not admit to allowing them to score. Clearly they did. I thought you could have played defense there. Everyone's like, just let them score. You get the ball back, 2 timeouts. You had 14 fucking points. This notion scoring a timeout with a minute 40 left and 2 timeouts is easy. It is real in that game. They have 14 points. If you had 37 points, I'd understand it. It's like Dan Lanning. He wouldn't kick the punt at the end of the Oregon-Washington game. I'd understand it if on every single drive they were scoring, you had allowed 1 touchdown in the second half. Your defense is playing well. Punt. Play defense. It's easier to kick a field goal with 50 seconds left, no timeouts. I don't agree with that. And I'm not anti going for it or anti the chart, but sometimes I'm just baffled by, minute 40, 2 timeouts. You're gonna score a touchdown? You literally struggled all game long to score touchdowns. And now you're gonna score? Based on what evidence? I don't see it. What happened? Not only didn't score, he didn't even get close. So I think both. Obviously, Brian Johnson has struggled. Kyle Shanahan has not. He's had a fantastic year, but Brian Johnson was terrible that game. And I thought Kyle, in the second half was not really good either. And listen, sometimes offensive coordinators have bad games, especially when you have injuries. And clearly with the Eagles, it's hard to play without Lane Johnson. I think their record without Lane Johnson is not good. And anytime you lose, the Eagles are lucky, right? Most teams, if you're lucky, have one good tackle. The Eagles have two. And if you have a good right tackle, the drop off, if you have a Pro Bowl level right tackle from that guy to your next guy is, I don't care. I never get mad at teams like, why don't they have better depth? You think it's easy to find good backup offensive tackles? If a guy is quote unquote a really good backup offensive tackle, he could start for half the league. So anytime you're going to lose one of your guys, you're going to be in trouble. And obviously the Eagles are when they lose Lane Johnson.